Boxer boys forever, we shall not be moved. Hey! Boxer boys forever, we shall not be moved. Just like a rock standing on the battlefield, we shall not be moved. Say. We shall not be moved. Hey! We shall not be moved. Just like a rock standing on the battlefield, we shall not be moved. From the shores of Cape Agulhas to his northern bushveld trees, we will fight our country's battles in the air, or land and sea. We will fight for right and freedom. We will keep our honors free. We are proud to claim the title of the mechanized infantry. We will fight for right and freedom. We will keep our honors free. We are proud to claim the title of the mechanized infantry.
Positioning now for the
peace prevails and the biblical image of swords being beaten into plowshares does indeed come to pass, the adage, let those who desire peace prepare for war, must prevail. And for more than most, this is applicable to the peoples of South Africa. The fighting machine of South Africa today consists of men and material, tempered, honed and disciplined by wars and battles that have both plagued and honored this country through the generations of its spirited and inspiring history. Many of these are the descendants of famous and feared warriors and leaders such as Shaka, Mzilikazi, Khachabi, Makoma, Mshweshwe and others. Many of these have forefathers who number among the great Boer names that challenged an ambitious British Empire. Many are the sons of those who fought tyranny and fascism in two great wars, and many again there are who came from elsewhere to make this land their home and willingly risk their lives for its defense. These men are at the forefront of the fight. They are the ones who pay liberty's claimed price of eternal vigilance, and for some, the supreme sacrifice. Their efforts provide a redoubtable fist of steel, which has the respect and indeed the admiration of friend and foe alike. And certainly those who underestimate the might of this South African Defence Force do so at their peril.
We haven't had any military incursion across our borders on a significant scale during the past few decades, and I think that in a sense indicates how strong we are, because if you're in the world of power, of violence, it's very much the law of the jungle that prevails, and it's as simple as if you are weak, you'll be attacked. If you're strong, people avoid you.
And when the law of the jungle prevails within the African context, the South African fighting machine is indeed invincible. For the enemy, through the years, South Africa's across-the-border operations into Angola were disastrous occasions. In 1975, in support of UNITA, South African forces sliced through that country virtually to the outskirts of Luanda, turning back only because of American duplicity. In the years that followed, whenever the need arose, our forces lashed out, and operations such as Reindeer, Skeptic, Protea, Ascari, and most recently against SWAPO and its allies, resulted in bloody defeats and heavy losses. Recognition of SADF prowess and strength has come from far and wide. A Rockefeller Foundation survey has found that militarily South Africa is stronger than any opponent or coalition of opponents in Africa. In another assessment, the Hoover Institute has concluded South Africa's military power is enhanced by a substantial industrial and logistic infrastructure on a scale that has been attained nowhere else in Africa. International strategists whom we spoke to and who have first-hand knowledge of the SADF concur.
I find it a very tough, efficient defense force. Now, my prime interest in your defense force is its way that it's carrying on a counterinsurgency operation. Your defense force has done an admirable job on it, and I think the West can learn from it if it had ever get off its moral high horse and look at things realistically.
I would say that if it came to the final push, in fact it came to a final conflict, a stand-up conventional war, there's no army on the African continent that could stand up to it for very, very long. They are equipped, motivated, and generally led so well that I don't see that there's any possible chance that they'll ever be beaten in the stand-up war.
In the African context, in my opinion, South Africa is clearly the single strongest sub-Saharan military power. There can be no question of this.
I have been very impressed by the efficiency of the South African Defence Force in many ways. in fact too numerous to go into in such a short interview. I'm extremely impressed.
Oh, more than capable. I think that the way you have been structured and the equipment that you've got and the way you've gone about it more than demonstrates that you're right on top.
And of South African soldiers in particular, General Sir Walter Walker, former NATO Commander-in-Chief, has declared, "They are among the best in the world. Indeed, I doubt whether such strong men, high leadership and sheer professionalism can be surpassed by any other country in the world today." Certainly, Chief of the Army Kurt Liebenberg has no hesitation over what he regards as most special in the Army.
It must be a manpower component. I have the greatest admiration for the adaptability, the courage, and the ingenuity constantly being displayed by the average South African soldier, irrespective of his color. And in particular, by our young junior leaders. I think they are of the best caliber you can find, and they can compare very favorably indeed with any other junior leaders in the world today.
This country's war against terrorists, communists and their surrogates is not a white man's war. In the past decade in particular, the black and brown peoples have evinced a soaring enthusiasm to throw in their weight behind the fight against those forces within and from without, who are intent on a violent takeover and a total transformation of the South African scene. Figures prove the point. Black and brown troops constitute some 40% of all soldiers deployed operationally within the Republic and along its borders. The Republic today provides less than half of the fighting soldiers in the Southwest African operational area, and 50% of these men from the Republic are black and brown. In support of statistics, there's sentiment and emotion, and both here at the predominantly Zulu 121 Battalion in Natal and at infantry school in the operational area, the identity and nature of the enemy provide no guessing game.
Well, the enemy is intimidating our country a lot because they are killing innocent people there. And they go and plant bombs into towns and so on.
I'm very fond in defending my country.
Against who?
Against the terrorists, especially Russia.
I regard as the enemy like these other organizations like ANC who are not, who are always against us. Like SWAPO and all, who we used to fight with in the borders.
Because I like to protect our country.
Against who?
Against our enemy, like ANC, all those, like SWAPO.
They mustn't interfere on our land and also to take over to our country.
At infantry school, the best of the best are brought together for the junior leaders training course. These are the military leaders of tomorrow, and in the inhospitable, vast and arid expanses of the operational area, they are being schooled in both the rugged requirements and the technical skills essential in modern warfare. From all walks of life and diverse areas, they enter another world, where discipline, courage, fitness and reflexes are paramount, and where a buddy is a buddy, no matter who and where from. In this theatre of war, it is the mechanized units of the South African Defence Force that have been in the vanguard of the onslaught. And here the watchwords are speed, mobility, and a ferocious firepower. Attack at sunset and further into the night is a deadly serious business. Increasingly, South African offensives are being launched under cover of night, but the darkness itself can be both friend and foe, depending on the skills of the night fighters. The enemy has no shortage of Soviet weaponry, and when the South African armour and men launch themselves at their targets, the challenge is to run the gauntlet of automatic weapons fire, shrapnel, minefields and booby traps with a minimum loss of life. Someone once wrote that in every war they kill you in a new way. This is transformed from the cynical to the serious and sometimes quite sensational when the spotlight is thrown on the lineup of some of the Army's locally designed and built weaponry. The rifle is the Army's jock of the bushveld, tough as nails and regarded with utmost respect and affection by those who depend upon it for their very lives.
Left 10 o'clock! You're behind bush! You're behind bush! 5 single shot on the piercing, fire now! Okay, correction! Correction! Up 300! Up 300! Fire now! Firing now!
The rifle ranks among the most highly and widely acclaimed of the arms corps weapons. Combat tested and proven on numerous occasions, there are several models of this versatile infantry fighting vehicle. One of the latest innovations is the Rifle 81, which has provided a deadly mobility to the 81mm mortars. Also having passed with flying colours tests in hammering the enemy are the Rifles 20, 60 and 90. Specially designed for South African conditions, they ride roughshod over the African terrain. An astonishing cross-country ability, according to Jane's military review.
Forces are definitely bulkhead and the spearhead of any conventional attack. The combination of high firepower, maneuverability, mobility and armor protection for the troops make it a definite component for success.
And it was a mortal hand and eye that framed this fearful symmetry. Based on the Centurion, the redesigned and rebuilt Oliphant tank is faster, more powerful, maneuverable, has a greater range and a far more destructive weapon system than its famous ancestor. Equally efficient at firing its 105mm gun at speed or stationary, the Oliphant contributes to a most credible armoured offensive capability. For the enemy, these mighty monsters, charging, churning, machine guns chattering and guns booming, must provide a most terrifying sight indeed. The G5 gun is a potent long-distance killer, saving the lives of our people, while many kilometers away the enemy is being torn to shreds. With a range of some 40 kilometers and a suitable variety of projectiles and fuses, the G5 is capable of pulverizing the most determined of defenses. An efficient crew can deploy the gun ready for action in a mere 2.5 minutes, and a single gun is capable of hurtling 3 projectiles a minute at a given target. For the men behind the G5s, working the weapon is a rewarding but trying task.
Oh, it's a tremendous bang. There's a up bang. There's a
but trying task.
Oh, it's a tremendous bang. There's a up sit in the Julle and the whole Julle just shakes when the bang goes off.
En hoe voel het as hy afgaan?
Dis iets, jy kan nie vir iemand verduidelik nie, want dis skok en stof en die rook is baie lekker.
The explosion, the force that it gives off is tremendous. Die ore kan dit nie hou nie, dit is 'n geweldige druk wat jy moet ondervat.
Yes, reeks. So yes, the gun we were trained in previously, the G2. That wasn't as bad as the G5. This has got a tremendous blow on you.
On the receiving end, the effect is devastating. And according to Battery Commander Major Theo Wilkin, it is not only the killing and maiming that tears the opposition to shreds, but equally horrifying is the paralyzing effects of high explosive shock waves.
You totally immobilize the target, and you get total neutralization of the target while the engagement is going on, and for a short while after that as well.
Where the description of the G5 given by Jane's Military Review reads, "as good as anything in the Western world, and in some respects even better," the self-propelled G6 is lauded in a 1987 edition of Jane's Defence Weekly as one of the best artillery systems in production. As speedy, mobile and maneuverable as the Rattle, this vehicle can move with the mechanized forces over and into any terrain, thereby boosting all the good qualities of the G5 with maximum mobility. As the G6 halts to fire, outriggers are pushed down to stabilize the vehicle and save the suspension. And 60 seconds after stopping, the first projectile is blasted on its way. Also figuring prominently in Arms Corps' artillery arsenal is the Valkyrie 127 multiple rocket launcher, the performance of which has relegated Russia's Stalin organ to something of sound and fury, but signifying nothing. With a range extending from 7,500 meters to 23 kilometers, this MRL's high fragmentation capacity provides a killing area of some 1,500 meters when used against troops who are in the open, in shallow trenches or soft-skinned vehicles. No, it is not a Valkyrie striking a vehicle. It is a demonstration of a non-mine-proofed vehicle detonating a landmine and consequent action taken by the SADF Medical Corps assisted by the Air Force. When it comes to expertise and rapid treatment of the wounded, the SADF is hard to beat. Even in the heat of battle, there is no shirking the job. The medics immediately take over full responsibility for a wounded soldier and carry out all necessary tasks, allowing the fighting men to get along with their job. Surgeon General Nicol Nivout explains.
Our efficiency, I think, is improving all the time. Seeing we have been busy now for more than a decade with this kind of warfare we are busy with. The reason for that is that our organization has been adapted to fit in with our needs. The manpower available, the expertise, and I think most important, the practical experience we've gained in the last number of years. But I think it rates very highly on the number of priorities for morale, is the knowledge any one of our troopies has, insofar that if he does get injured or gets wounded, medical help will be immediately available, he will be taken care of in full, and everything that is necessary will and can be done. This is also passed down over the last number of years from one intake to another, and I think that's one of the reasons why the morale of the South African Defence Force personnel generally are so high, even under combat conditions.
many things that need doing prior to a battle ahead. Perhaps reading for the 10th time a letter from a loved one in the States. Perhaps some sustenance, proving that a troopie never bites off more than he can chew. And then all those preparations, so necessary for that which lies ahead. For the men of faith, these are precious and hallowed moments. For the Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day.
Elkeen van hierdie manne aan die op. Jy ken elkeen by die naam en daarom vra ons vir u. Neem hulle in u hand.
Ons wil wen. Nie ek nie, ons wil wen. Jy maak 'n bydrae. Ek sal die leiding gee. Jy sal die vyand dood. Ek sal vir jou sê hoe om dit te doen. Jy en ek is 'n span. En ons is 'n wenspan.
If you do not command the air, you cannot win a war. So you can exist without air, but you cannot win. So the main role of the Air Force is then to provide that favorable air situation which allows one to win a war.
That statement by Chief of the Air Force, General Dennis Earp, slots the Air Force into South Africa's military machine. The Air Force consists mainly of volunteers, and because of the effects of the arms embargo, top quality training is regarded as of paramount importance, so that the best can be achieved with available machines and weaponry. It costs an astronomical 2 million rand to train a single Mirage pilot. But at the end of it all, these men know what they are doing.
I do think that the enemy have increased reasonably considerably in the technological field. We do have a bit of a problem here, but there are ways and means, and if we combine once again the training that we do have, we do still feel confident that we're capable of doing the job given to us.
I'd rate it in the top 10 air forces in the world in both air defence and ground support. I've flown with them on several occasions. They're extremely professional. They know what they're doing. They could fit in with most of the European air forces quite easily. They're very, very good, very professional.
If we must compare the South African Air Force with the air forces of the world, I would say that we are probably in the top 5. But again, not if we're talking size of force. We can't compete with the United States, obviously. But quality-wise, and bearing in mind that an air force isn't only aeroplanes and only people, it's a total system, I think we're still up in the top 5. We may even be among the top 3.
The locally made Impala is today familiar in our skies. Equipped with improved systems and efficient weaponry, it provides an excellent air cover given the right circumstances. Bearing the name of Africa's swift and agile cheetah, this versatile aircraft ranks among Arms Corps' most ambitious and technologically complex success stories. Only recently formally commissioned for operations, this aircraft, an upgrading of the Mirage 3, heralds a new era of self-sufficiency and heightened operational capability for the Air Force. With advanced electronic systems housed in its gracefully elongated nose, this jet fighter provides a supersonic platform for a deadly assortment of South African-produced weapons. They include the revolutionary Kukri missile system linked to a built-in helmet sight, the CB-470 cluster bomb, the Mark 82 bomb, and an upgraded 30mm cannon. Taken in conjunction with our pilots' flying skills, the Air Force is confident that the cheetah is more than a match for anything they may encounter in the southern African skies. British Defence correspondent Terry Gander outlines the African problem.
A lot of the border states, I notice, are busy rearming themselves with more modern equipment. But it isn't going to do them a great deal of good in many cases, because having the equipment and just using it once or twice on parades is great. What really matters is day in, day out, maintenance, servicing, looking after and keeping the standard of training up. And this is where many of the African nations at the moment are sadly lacking. It's very well having the latest MiGs or the latest this, that or the other aircraft, the latest flashing things that really look good on the newsreels. What really matters is the day-to-day maintenance and looking after that equipment. And this is where so many African nations seem to fall down. This is where the South Africans do score, because they do look after their equipment. They do design it to be exactly right for their situation, and they have the skills and techniques to be able to do it for quite some time to come.
The Pumas, indispensable appendages of the Army, are the workhorses of the air. Their tasks include rapid troop deployment, air-hopping trackers in pursuit of fleeing terrorists. They fly in fuel, rations, water and weapons. Troops in tight spots are picked up and flown to safety. The wounded and ill are cassevaced at all times, from all places, often under perilous conditions. For some time now, the arms embargo has jeopardized South Africa's helicopter capability. But at an international air show in Chile recently, Arms Corps stole the limelight with its locally developed Alpha XH-1 combat helicopter. Described by Jane's Defence Weekly as a striking feature of the show, this tandem helicopter gunship meets the requirements of one of the most important facets of modern warfare. Also recently unveiled at the Atlas Aircraft Corporation was the locally developed XTP-1 attack helicopter. With a Puma as the basic design, this helicopter shows major modifications and structural changes, enhancing its striking power and stability. Numbering among the often unsung heroes of the South African military machine are those involved in air transport, men and equipment, cargo of all kinds, flown in where they are most needed and sometimes urgently so.
Okay, the drop height is 1,000 feet IGL. Runway heading will be 348 degrees magnetic. And that's 30 paratroopers aside and 2 drops.
The dropping of paratroopers and their equipment provides another striking example of the interdependence of the various branches of the Defence Force. The flying and navigational skills of the crews of the air transport planes are legend. Dark or light, bad weather or good, remote places must be reached, often under dangerous conditions and with on-the-spot timing. For these mainly citizen force paratroopers, it's an exercise today. But tomorrow, and quite suddenly, the unknown, unexpected, the difficult and the dangerous could become a stark reality.
Certainly there are a couple of navies in Africa which in terms of numbers are about parity with us. But quality, there is no comparison whatever. And that quality is extremely important in a navy. A navy is a high-tech business. And if your weapon systems don't work, or not 100%, then you might as well not have them. And this is our big advantage, and the advantage we've got to hang on to is quality people. And as a result, we have an extremely professional Navy, I believe as professional as the British or the American navies, and we can face anything that Africa can throw at us, easily.
A military strategist once wrote, "One does not fight with men against material. It is with material served by men that one makes war." And in many ways, this encapsulates the situation confronting the South African Navy, crippled as a protector of the vital Cape Sea route because of the arms embargo. But nevertheless, having risen bravely and competently to the challenge of meeting the naval requirements of this country's extensive shoreline. Perhaps modest in size, the South African Navy has nevertheless achieved a state of self-sufficiency and efficiency which ensure that any attack on that which it protects is either doomed to fail or will result in severe enemy losses.
For the past 10 years, the backbone of the South African Navy's surface forces has been the strike craft. Relatively small in size, this ship nevertheless packs a powerful punch.
The 9 ships of the strike craft flotilla operate under the motto, "The last to fire is the first to die," and their speed, maneuverability and fearful weapon system provide them with a strike-first capability difficult to outdo. Locally built, the overriding feature of the strike craft is its South African-produced Scorpion missiles, which provide the ship with its awesome impact, even when pitted against a much larger warship. The launch of a missile is the culmination of complex technological procedures involving detection, classification and engagement. Here, speed and accuracy are paramount, and in the reddish glow of the ops room, the tension of concentration prevails.
Surface blind, red 30, razor 158. That's your target. Action and missile selected. No answer.
In addition to the missiles, a strike craft has on deck 2 20mm guns, 2 Brownings, plus 2 formidable 76mm guns. This simulated air attack calls for Combat State 1. Within seconds, the guns are chattering and booming, and the attacking planes face a barrage of metal hurtling out of stabilized weapons, some supported by the radar-assisted fire control unit.
Our strategy thus far has been to retain a qualitative advantage over our potential enemies and to ensure that the highest level of realistic combat training is maintained at all times by our surface combat forces. We have ensured that this high state of readiness is visible at all times in order to ensure deterrence. Remember that we would operate as far as is possible in conjunction with our submarines, which are excellent platforms indeed. As far as some sort of intervention by other forces is concerned, it's a little more difficult to quantify. Obviously we have our limitations, but what we have, and here I include the combination of submarines, maritime strike aircraft, and our strike craft, which would be essential in such a scenario, I believe that not many countries could make a realistic assessment of their chances and find that they can afford to take the risk of coming to our home ground, taking us on, and losing their money.
They run silent, they run deep. And in the realm of subsurface warfare, this country's 3 Daphne-class submarines remain a significant deterrent. These vessels have been with the fleet since the early 1970s, but their defense systems are constantly being updated. Underwater sonar identification is an exacting and important task. Because of unpredictable and severe temperature gradients off the Cape Coast, the detection of lurking submarines is difficult for surface sonars, with the result that South Africa's offshore waters have been dubbed a submariner's paradise. Armed with 12 torpedoes and having a range of some 8,000 kilometers, these hunters and killers of the deep dare not be discounted by an enemy force. And if speculation that South Africa is well on the way to building her own submarines is incorrect, then certainly it's true to say that this country is giving that possibility serious thought. Below waters, the submarines. Skimming the surface, the nippy strike craft. But the eye in the sky is provided by the Albatross. Traditionally the Navy's buddies, Southern Air Command runs the coastal patrol squadrons, and all describe working relationships as excellent. Most recent star in the naval firmament is the 12,500-ton SAS Drakensberg, the biggest and most technologically advanced ship yet designed and built in South Africa. Initially assisting and eventually destined to replace the aging SAS Tafelberg replenishment vessel, the Drakensberg has become a valuable addition to the Navy. It enhances surveillance and rescue capabilities, and in the service of operational vessels, it increases their efficiency. The golden thread intertwined through South Africa's remarkable defense capabilities is the foresight, ingenuity and determination of all those involved in overcoming the arms embargo and thereby making this country self-sufficient in self-defense. Referring to the history of the arms embargo and the establishment of Arms Corps, the prestigious magazine Defense Update International writes, "The country's entire industrial and research resources were mobilized to enable Arms Corps to become the equal of the United States and Sweden in its understanding of detonics, the science of explosives and explosions, develop world-leading frequency-hopping radio systems, and, among other achievements, produce what are regarded as the world's most effective mine-proof vehicles." An amazing testimonial, underlined by other foreign but in-the-know military strategists.
The aircraft industry, Atlas, is improving in leaps and bounds. They're doing things now which wouldn't have been possible 10 years ago. I think the embargo caused the upsurge in Arms Corps and their growth.
Well, it's probably a perverse way of putting it, but it seems to have done you a lot of good in as much as it's turned you back on yourselves. You've made through your own effort and your own energy and your own innovation some splendid equipment that's as good as any, and in most cases is the best in the world. And I think that's a credit to, as I say, to the ingenuity of your people.
And the equipment that I and General Butler saw was of the very highest quality, and some of it quite unique.
What is it, Mr. Garrett, that really impressed you?
The most? the Rathau armoured car or troop carrier, and the radio equipment. I think your high-grade radio equipment is outstanding.
Again, our defence people could look at some of the equipment that the South Africans have and probably buy it from them at a heck of a lot cheaper price than we're paying for ours, and be getting a very good, if not better, product than we were getting. So I'm very impressed.
Somewhere, while we are safely at work or play or in pensive mood, someone is out there, out at the front, ensuring that we, involved in the preparatory, pleasurable and profitable pursuits of life, are able to do so. Undisturbed, confident and secure, the agonies of war and the sweat of suffering, far removed from that which is our daily lives. It is to those someones out there somewhere that this documentary is dedicated.
Washington ruled out intervention in Angola with American troops. Instead, it turned, secretly, to South Africa.
The United States, at the highest level, requested assistance, or rather requested South Africa to go in and assist UNITA.
We did maintain a position of disapproval of apartheid. But on the other hand, the South African government was extremely powerful.
Suid-Afrika was in 'n posisie van isolasie.
South Africa was isolated. Although it was done secretly, it was good for South Africa to be cooperating with a big force like the USA, even though it was clandestine.
There were many people in policy-making positions in the Department of State who were essentially willing to have a funny, ambiguous relationship with South Africa.
The focus was on Soviet penetration and the possibility of the Soviet Union using unstable situations in Africa to benefit itself, to take root and foment trouble.
A bigger challenge now faced the MPLA. In October 1975, South African troops had invaded Angola. From their bases in Namibia, they had joined forces with UNITA.
We advanced approximately, I think, something like 80 kilometers a day. By this time, my troops were getting good. I mean, they were really getting on with it now. They were out of those vehicles and into assault formations, would shoot the hell out of these people, you see, and then they would back up and move because they didn't expect us.
Its fight against South African troops gave the MPLA political credibility. South of Luanda, the Cubans prepared to end the South African advance.
It was a decisive battle, because if they broke our defense, it would be very difficult then to stop them getting to Luanda. There were roads going to the north, roads going to the center, many roads, which would have made their advance very powerful and fast.
The Cubans were ready, waiting.
Angola would have been lost. Mobutu's troops were close to Luanda. The South Africans had penetrated over 1,000 kilometers. They were close to Luanda.
The Cuban and MPLA forces outgunned the South Africans.
They were shot very badly. And I just saw these lorries with blood dripping out of it. It wasn't very nice. And then to go and investigate, and for the first time to see they're actually your own troops. It wasn't very nice at all.
South African and American hopes of a quick victory over the MPLA were crushed. Washington was running out of options.
For us, in order to survive, we had to fly at very low level, and that was anything from 20 to 50 feet, depending on the nature of the terrain. And this was done to dodge the radar systems and also to get the surprise on our side. The enemy aircraft that we encountered were basically MiG-21s, MiG-23s and Su-22s is the other type that we encountered. We didn't lose any aircraft in combat, whereas the enemy lost 2 MiG-21s, and there was unconfirmed reports of other aircraft lost by them as well.
To bolster their forces, South Africa's Air Force decided to improve their older Mirage 3s. The result, a modernized variant called the Cheetah.
We decided to update the whole Mirage 3 fleet with new avionics, a new sighting system and a nav weapon system. As far as combat is concerned, the changes in the Cheetah compared to the Mirage 3, it made the aircraft a little bit more maneuverable.
In the 1990s, the French wanted a next-generation fighter jet. They found it in the stealthy Rafale. The Rafale began development in the early 1980s as a technology test platform. The Rafale A tested the flight envelope possible with new fly-by-wire controls. 2 other key attributes were also explored: supercruise and stealth. Conventional jet fighters attain their high speeds by igniting their afterburners. But they pay a high price: heavy fuel consumption, which reduces the aircraft's combat range. New jet engines and a new airframe design promise supersonic flight without the use of afterburners. This is called supercruise. In 1991, the first product of this test program, the Rafale C, made its maiden flight. Though it shares the classic Delta design of the Mirage family, the Rafale has a sleek, blended body. Rafale is equipped with 2 Snecma M88 engines, enabling it to reach speeds of Mach 2 and an altitude of 55,000 feet. Rafale entered service with the French Navy in 1999, and the first Rafale Air Squadron will be based at Saint-Dizier in 2006. with its Delta Canard configuration and ability to perform air superiority, interceptor, recon, and ground attack maneuvers on a single mission, the Rafale will carry on Dassault's tradition of aerodynamic excellence.
Ons hier dan nog gestart.
Okay, thanks. Battery on. Engine oil valve cancel. Park brake.
Is applied.
Okay, crew brief was 30 minute. Net voel wat sy maak so aan.
Okay, ons gaan maar so 'n bietjie uitry dat net so 'n bietjie.
Ja.
Just voel hoe ry sy en dan.
Okay, cargo weight max pitch, nodig nie, mission clearance. See down as your pedals.
All adjusted, make
Okay, pre-flight check completed, no packs, circuit breakers.
On.
Cockpit lights.
On.
External lights.
On.
Standby horizon.
Guys, that's it.
The equipment selector.
So on. Off.
I got it, circuit breaker.
Hij is in. Wat gedaan? Als hij nou in.
Alt steer use.
On.
Electrical panel.
Checked.
gyro platforms.
On.
Trim release.
On.
All other switches.
Off.
Fuel flow levers.
Fully back.
Rotor brake.
That's free.
Fuel shadow levers.
Open, why not?
Artificial horizons. Gyro and gyro that side.
Gyro on one side. Off the side.
Clock.
Hallo daar. Hey, kom
terug in de wacht. 7 alpha.
Checked. Gas switch checked.
Engine panel.
Checked.
Fuel panel.
Checked.
Fuel contents and gauges.
16 to 100.
Undercarriage.
Checked.
IP selection.
That's gyro and IP enslaved.
Emergency undercarriage.
Down a while.
Landing light off the side.
Yep.
IP hydraulics on the side. Overpower. Nose wheel.
That's unlocked.
Collector.
Down on friction.
Supply valve. Catch down. Accumulator pressure.
170 bar.
170 bar and pop stove. Pilot's door.
There's a door just in this while up on the outside. And put it up to the
1, 2, 3. So basically, like slide.
Yeah.
Swat op tomorrow morning. Okay, we request your start clearance for half an hour test flight. Okay, we're standing by your start, Pima. Go ahead. Under 26, ready for taxi next, Pima.
Okay, clear my side.
Zeg dan al?
I say skoon my kant.
Skoon hierdie kant, booster pumps, stopwatch going. Cyclic and pedals. Rotor brake.
Rotor brake's free.
Fire extinguisher.
In position.
Right path, left is clear, clear right, start the switching.
15 seconds. Braking. Mark selection.
fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. We will fight for right and freedom. We will keep our honors free. We are proud to claim the title of the mechanized infantry. We will fight for right and freedom. We will keep our honors free. We are proud to claim the title of the mechanized infantry. Skouwerwiel!
Tweede luitenant Egter, raadbevelvoerder, wegleierveld, junior leier van 1989, teenwoordig en gereed vir die inspeksie, brigadier.
Op. Inspektiegroep, voorwaarts, mars.
kandidaat-offisier wat die beste presteer het tydens die gemekaniseerde operasies pelotonbevelvoerders kursus. Die ontvanger is 2 luitenant Vincent Remy Julle. 2 luitenant Julle. Spesialis, offisier, instructeur, wisseltrofee. Die trofee word toegekend aan die kandidaat-offisier wat die beste presteer het tydens die gemekaniseerde spesialis instrukteurskursus. Die ontvanger is 2 luitenant Anthony Pitt. 2 luitenant Pitt. Anti-tank floating trophy. This trophy is awarded to the student who achieved best result during the mechanized battalion anti-tank course. The recipient is Second Lieutenant Thomas Petrus Carter. Second Lieutenant Carter. Assault Pioneer Floating Trophy. This trophy is awarded to the student who achieved best results during the Assault Pioneer course. The recipient is Second Lieutenant James Philippus Daniels. Second Lieutenant Daniels. The GCS Command Pasting. This trophy is awarded to the regimental non-commissioned officer who achieved best results during the mechanized operation platoon sergeant course. The recipient is Corporal Johannes Petrus Paulus Spangenberg. Corporal Spangenberg. Spesialis instrukteurs wisseltrofee. Hierdie trofee word toegekend aan die regiment onderoffisier wat die beste presteer het tydens die gemekaniseerde spesialis instrukteurskursus. Die ontvanger is Korporaal Petrus Towa. Korporaal Towa. Die J.R. Stone wisseltrofee. Hierdie trofee word toegekend aan die student wat die beste skietuitslag tydens die van die leer tabel 3 skietkompetisie behaal het. Die ontvanger is Korporaal David Campbell. Korporaal Campbell. Die MLV Flipside wisseltrofee. Hierdie trofee word toegekend aan die student wat die beste presteer het tydens Flipside evaluasies deurlopend. Die ontvanger is Korporaal Francis B.T. Moore. Korporaal Moore. The Juniors Floating Trophy. This trophy is awarded to the best sportsman of the mechanized leader wing during 1989. This trophy is shared by Second Lieutenant Leon Buter for competing in the South African imitators team against international karate teams, recently in Lesotho, and Corporal Marius Tom Brink for receiving South African colours in Gymkhana during 1999. Second Lieutenant Buter and Corporal Brink.
Attention! Soldaten! General salute! Present!
officer's promise. As an officer, I declare my awareness of the worth tradition of the South African Defence Force, entrusted to uphold the principles embodied in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. I accept as a member of the Officer Corps to live up to this awareness with the highest standards of integrity, loyalty, obedience and allegiance. As an officer of the Mechanized Infantry Corps, I promise never to seek my own advantage, but always to strive for the greatest well-being of my people and my country, to perform my responsibility and duty with nobility of spirit, conscientiousness, vigilance, fearlessness and determination, to place the needs of those under my command above my own and to set a good example, to be fair and impartial with the application and recommendation of both rewards and punishment, to maintain service and use with utmost care and precision the arms and equipment entrusted to me. I honor God with the highest praise and accept him as the highest authority in my life, and his word is my ultimate code of living. My word is my trust of bond, and I will dedicate myself to uphold the spirit of this creed.
Tweeluitenant Azar, NP. Tweeluitenant Badenhoft, JHJ. Tweeluitenant Badenhoft, PP. Tweeluitenant Dekker, GE. Tweeluitenant Besuitnout, JP. Tweeluitenant Bishop, JH. Tweeluitenant Botha, PD. Tweeluitenant Botha S, Tweeluitenant Botma CF, Tweeluitenant Bouwer RB, Tweeluitenant Breitenbach SJ, Tweeluitenant Briel A, Second Lieutenant Brown JFH, Tweeluitenant Boer WR, Tweeluitenant Burger J, Second Lieutenant Burger MJ, Second Lieutenant Burrows AW, Tweeluitenant Buter L, Second Lieutenant Caldwell BS, Tweeluitenant Cologne VR, Tweeluitenant Karsten TP, Vervolgens Tweeluitenant Christie CJH, Tweeluitenant Kutsie R, Second Lieutenant Corbett RB, BB, Tweeluitenant Daniels JP, Tweeluitenant Daniel SH, Tweeluitenant De Beer LMJ, Tweeluitenant De Goede JJ, Tweeluitenant Dreyer H, Tweeluitenant Du Plessis BR, Tweeluitenant Du Plessis JA, Tweeluitenant De Tooi A, Tweeluitenant De Tooi FS, Tweeluitenant De Tooi HE, Tweeluitenant Eckert JN, Tweeluitenant Erasmus LD, Second Lieutenant Ferenzi RL, Second Lieutenant Fernandez CO, Tweeluitenant Fernandez N, Second Lieutenant Forrest CL, Tweede-luitenant Offisier JH, Tweede-luitenant Fourie EL, Second Lieutenant Giel MW, Tweede-luitenant Butch PA, Second Lieutenant Goff RH, Tweede-luitenant Groller NJ, Tweede-luitenant Groller PH, Second Lieutenant Harold GL, Tweede-luitenant Hatten DJ, Tweede-luitenant Rechter AW, Second Lieutenant Henderson IA, Tweede-luitenant Heinz L, Tweede-luitenant Holm OF, Second Lieutenant Holmes MS, Second Lieutenant Hully CHH, Tweede-luitenant Huisam A, Second Lieutenant James GM, Tweede-luitenant Jansen van Vieren TBR, Second Lieutenant Julle D, Second Lieutenant Jones VG, Tweede-luitenant Klopper E, Tweede-luitenant Kotse RF, Tweede-luitenant Lawiskagli A, Tweede-luitenant Lawiskagli J, Tweede-luitenant Likiona ME, Second Lieutenant Lee AB, Tweede-luitenant Leonard N, Tweede-luitenant Linde AM, Tweede-luitenant Lombard JJA, Tweede-luitenant Lombard CB, Tweede-luitenant Laurens C, Tweede-luitenant Lou HR, Tweede-luitenant Martens M, Tweede-luitenant McKinnon J, Tweede-luitenant Malan SA, Tweede-luitenant Malan TR, Tweede-luitenant Marais C, Tweede-luitenant Marie JJ, Tweede-luitenant Marie W, Tweede-luitenant Marks AJ, Tweede-luitenant McDonald E, Second Lieutenant Mevis, FW. Tweede Luitenant Meyer, B. Second Lieutenant Mitchell, BR. Tweede Luitenant Miller, JM. Tweede Luitenant Moore, IGM. Tweede Luitenant Mostert, JM. Second Lieutenant Mostert, H. Tweede Luitenant Marie, WCL. Tweede Luitenant Leiberg, LP. Tweede Luitenant Nel, IS. Tweede Luitenant Nel, LWA. Tweede Luitenant Nel, N. Tweede Luitenant Nicholson, SC. Tweede Luitenant Nieuwoud, ISC. Tweede Luitenant Olivier, CC. Tweede Luitenant Olivier, L. Tweede Luitenant Olivier, WR. Second Lieutenant Oosthuizen, GW. Second Lieutenant Pauli, M. Tweede Luitenant Piek, A. En Tweede Luitenant Pretorius, A. Tweede Luitenant Punt, HF. Second Lieutenant Radcliffe, AS. Ek herstel Pretorius GD en dan Pretorius HE. Volg deur Luitenant Punt HF. Then Lieutenant Radcliffe, AS. Tweede Luitenant Redelinghuis, M. Tweede Luitenant Roberts, MF. Tweede Luitenant Roberts, FB. Second Lieutenant Roger, PJ. Tweede Luitenant Skoemel, JW. Tweede Luitenant Slabber, CH. Tweede Luitenant Small, JP. Tweede Luitenant Smit, LG. Tweede Luitenant Smit, P. Tweede Luitenant Smit, AJ. Second Lieutenant Smith, W. Tweede Luitenant Steenkamp, ORC. Tweede Luitenant Stein, JAC. Second Lieutenant Stabus, GM. Tweede Luitenant Strydom, L. Second Lieutenant Swart, CA. Tweede Luitenant Swart, J. Tweeluitenant Swarts W. Tweeluitenant Taljaard L. Tweeluitenant Terblanche A. Tweeluitenant Trom AP. Tweeluitenant Trom JW. Second Lieutenant Turner LA. Tweeluitenant van der Merwe NJ. Second Lieutenant van der Mesh SB. Tweeluitenant van der Westhuizen I. Tweeluitenant van der Westhuizen PJI. Tweeluitenant van die Kerk GA. Tweeluitenant van die Kerk W. Tweeluitenant van Rensburg R. Tweeluitenant van Rooyen FA. Second Lieutenant van Skoutwijk C. Tweeluitenant van Straten JPL. Tweeluitenant van Wijk GH. Second Lieutenant van Wijk W. Tweeluitenant van Seil J. Tweeluitenant Venter AA. Tweeluitenant Venter J. Tweeluitenant Wessels JM. Tweeluitenant Wessels WB. Second Lieutenant Westerway C. Second Lieutenant Williams S. Tweeluitenant Wolmerans LP. Tweeluitenant Wort AR. Tweeluitenant Woest M. En tweeluitenant Zwart C.
Die credo van die onderoffisier. Niemand is meer professioneel as ek nie. Ek is 'n onderoffisier, 'n leier van manne. Ek besef dat ek as 'n onderoffisier lid is van 'n geëerde korps wat bekend staan as die ruggraat van die leer. Ek is trots op die onderoffisierskorps en my gedrag sal ten alle tye sodanig wees dat dit tot eer van die korps, die weermag en my land sal strek, ongeag die situasie waarin ek my bevind. Ek sal nie my rang of posisie misbruik om plesier, wins of persoonlike veiligheid te verkry nie. My lese is bekwaamheid. Twee basiese verantwoordelikhede sal altyd by my voorrang geniet. Die vervulling van my roeping en die welsyn van my manne. Ek sal daarna streef om taktiese en tegniese meesterskap te handhaaf. Ek is bewus van my rol as 'n onderoffisier. Ek sal die verantwoordelikhede wat eie aan die rol is vervul. Alle soldate is geregtig op voortreffelike leierskap. Ek sal die leierskap verskaf. Ek ken my manne en ek sal hulle altyd hulle belange bo my eie stel. Ek sal regverdig en onpartydig wees met die aanbeveling van beide beloning en straf. Die offisiere in my eenheid sal genoeg tye hê om hulle verpligtinge na te kom. Hulle sal nie nodig hê om my nie na te kom nie. Ek sal sowel hulle respek en vertroue as die van my manne waardig wees. Ek sal loyaal wees aan diegene saam met wie ek dien, sy hulle seniors, gelykes of ondergeskik is. Ek sal inisiatief aan die dag lê deur korrek op te tree indien daar nie bevele gegee is nie. Ek sal my integriteit nie laat aantas nie. Ek sal nooit vergeet of my kamerade toelaat om te vergeet dat ons professionele onderoffisiere is nie, leiers van manne.
Korporaal Abri, JW. Korporaal Adendorf, R. Korporaal Corporaal Bagger C. Corporaal Barnard H. Corporaal Barrett D. Corporaal Basson NV. Corporaal Becker WN. Corporaal Bester JD. Corporaal Besuitnout CJ. Corporaal Besuitnout M. Corporaal Besuitnout PJ. Corporaal Bosch MN. Corporaal Boshoff A. Corporaal Botus JM. Corporaal Bota CA. Corporaal Bota HCJ. Corporaal Bota PR. Corporaal Botma MG. Corporaal Botma MJ. Corporaal Botma AJ. Corporaal Bouwer J. Corporaal Breed CD. Corporaal Brink MT. Corporaal Brown KH. Corporaal Briver DJ. Corporaal Burton MS. Corporaal Butler KI. Corporaal Campbell DA. Corporaal Sillier APH. Corporaal Klaassen JHR. Corporaal Clark JC. Corporaal Clarkson D. Corporaal Kloete JG. Corporaal Koetsier FP. Corporaal Koetsier G. Corporaal Koffie GJ. Corporaal Cordieux D. Corporaal de Bruin HJ. Corporaal de Klerk JA. Corporaal de Nekker PH. Corporaal de Ridder RS. Corporaal de Villiers JJ. Corporaal de Vries JJ. Corporaal de Waal K. Corporaal de Wet J. Corporaal de Wet GD. Corporaal de Wet JJC. Corporaal de Wet MT. Corporaal Douglas RE. Corporaal Drake GR. Corporaal de Plessis G. Corporaal de Plessis PH. Corporaal de Plessis PS. Corporaal de Plessis RL. Corporaal de Plooi BN. Corporaal de Pree JN. Corporaal de Rand M. Corporaal de Tooi AP. Corporaal Els AF. Corporaal Erasmus GC. Corporaal Esbach AJ. Corporaal Fagan RJ. Corporaal Fifford MA. Corporal M. Fisher, M.A. Corporaal Fourie, L. Corporaal Fourie, N. Corporaal Fourie, P. Corporaal Franken, AA. Corporaal Freeman, E. Corporaal Gerrits, H. Corporaal Grieger, M. Corporaal Heil, DV. Corporaal Hamilton, PG. Corporaal Hutton, R. Corporaal Herbert, JB. Corporal Heritage, AG. Corporaal Harold, SJ. Corporal Higgs, BW. Corporal Hobbs, CH. Corporaal Hofman, JJ. Corporal Hornby, S. Corporaal Hoog, TSE. Corporaal Hieman, HJ. Corporaal Jacobs, NJ. Corporaal Jacobs, PC. Corporaal Jakubowski, MP. Corporaal Jansen van Rijnsburg, A. Corporaal Jansen van Rijnsburg, M. Corporaal Jansen van Rijnsburg, PJ. Corporaal Jansen van Vuren, B. Corporaal Jansen van Vuren, CW. Corporaal Jansen, JD. Corporaal Colin S. Corporaal Keenan, G. Corporaal Kilian, A. Corporaal Kleinhans, AA. Corporaal Kotse, R. Corporaal Kien, G. Corporaal Kieter, MA. Corporaal Lambrecht, JC. Corporaal Lambrecht, AJ. Corporaal Leinden, N. Corporaal Langenhoven, T. Corporaal Latergang, SSD. Corporaal Latergang, L. Corporaal Lagrancie, P. Corporaal Leroux, JH. Corporaal Leibrand, W. Corporaal Lerm, J. Corporaal Lombard, CM. Corporaal Loods, D. Corporaal Loopscher, EJ. Corporaal Lou, F. Corporaal Lulik, JP. Corporaal McNally, RV. Corporaal Marais, JN. Corporaal Meissen, Z. Corporaal McCarthy, MM. Corporaal Meyer E. Corporaal Meyer FC. Corporaal Meyer M.J. Corporaal Mitchell C.J. Corporaal Moore F.B. Corporaal Morgan E.M. Corporaal Martina A.A. Corporaal Muller A. Corporaal Neetling F.J. Corporaal Nel C. Corporaal Nel C.J.R. Corporaal Nel V.A.D.D. Corporaal Nicolaidus J.M. Corporaal Onderwagen D.F. Corporaal Felinski. L. Corporaal Olivier J.L. Corporaal Olivier N. Corporaal Oosthuizen J. Corporaal Oosthuizen Audi. Corporal Parks GW. Corporal Patterson SG. Corporaal Pinnen P. Corporaal Pieterse C. Corporaal Pieterse F. Corporaal Pieterse TP. Corporaal Potgieter BL. Corporaal Pretorius IE. Corporaal Prins LA. Corporaal Pullen LA. Corporaal Richter CF. Corporaal Robertson DJ. Corporaal Roderick JS. Corporaal Roots WJ. Corporaal Rousseau EVD. Corporaal Rousseau AS. Corporaal Rousseau AP. Corporaal Raal JL. Corporaal Radman L. Corporaal Simon H. Corporaal Sonnes MBA. Corporaal Skuban R. Corporaal Skou JC. Corporaal Sequera GD. Corporaal Shaw FJ. Corporaal Smit P.